Here's Liz, whose bladder leaks drop in uninvited.
Hey everybody, it's time for another exciting episode of corporations being very anti-consumer when it comes to digital distribution. Yay!
Skip it up and that up.
So this is a trend that all of the three big gaming companies, Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, are guilty of. Sony just recently, I'll talk about it again, there's so many other examples, but I'll be here for 30 minutes going over all of them, so I'm just going to use two. Recently, movies in Austria and Germany, like John Wick, that people bought, not rented, not it was part of some subscription plan. These people bought these movies. They're not going to have access to them anymore. And then Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo want people to just jump in on digital distribution. I also talked about recently how Microsoft, I was playing Elden Ring at the time. This is right when I was about to beat it, the game that is.
Cucumbers.
And you couldn't access digitally purchased games, even if in some cases you were on your primary Xbox. You would think they would work there. They didn't. Nintendo also with the DSi and Wii shops being down where you couldn't download games you purchased. That they finally fixed that. And now the Wii U and Nintendo 3DS eShops are going to cease to exist. You're not going to be able to buy games anymore in 2023. And a lot of those games are just going to go into a void and never be able to be purchased again. This comes from Nintendo Support, their own website. This is what they have to say. I'll read it to you, then we'll discuss. As of March 27th, 2023, it will no longer be possible to make purchases in Nintendo eShop for the Wii U system and the Nintendo 3DS family of systems. It will also no longer be possible to download free content, including game demos. Furthermore, as this date draws closer, related services will cease to function. As of May 23rd, 2022, it is no longer possible to use a credit card to add funds to an account in Nintendo eShop or Wii U or the Nintendo 3DS family of systems. That's why I had to make sure I got that Wii U video out at a certain time because I wanted to get some games for it. I made a Wii U retrospective video and also a Nintendo Game Boy retrospective video. Links to both of those videos are below in the description. Go check them out. However, it will still be possible to redeem download codes until March 27th, 2023. Users who link their Nintendo Network ID wallet used with the Wii U and the Nintendo 3DS family of systems with their Nintendo account wallet used with the Nintendo Switch family of systems can use the shared balance to purchase content on any of these systems until March 27th, 2023. After that, the balance can only be used to purchase content for the Nintendo Switch family of systems. Now, I already saw people saying, oh, let's see the fake outrage over this from people who never touched their Wii U or Wii or 3DS. And to those people who were saying that, like trying to downplay this and make it not a big deal and that channels like mine are just going to hair on fire, oh my God. I guarantee you a lot of them are like 20-somethings who just grew up with digital distribution mostly, and they don't understand how much it will suck one day when there's a game that was obscure that they really enjoyed, even if they only play it once every 5 years, when they don't have access to that game anymore, even if they've purchased it in the past. Let's see how their tone changes. Like, this is why, where the hell is it? Here it is. I used to be against these carts. It's 138 games in one. But after seeing what these companies are doing, you know, obviously, yes, I know I could get the ROMs, put them on an SD card, and use them with a flash card on my analog Super NT that's right here. But it's nice to have, these are all on a ROM. It'll never go away. I permanently have these games. Yes, it's a pirated cart. I got this from Amazon. But if these companies don't care about preserving these games, why am I? I used to be against these. Now I'm not. Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo there needs to be some kind of standardization with digital distribution, because a lot of great games, even games that are coming out now that are being released digital only, are one day going to be lost in the void. And those 20-somethings, those people that are 20-something out there who are like, oh, this isn't a big deal, I guarantee you in 20 years, when there's a game you really like that's obscure that you can't get anywhere because it wasn't released physically, when you can't play that game, you'll change your tune and be pissed off. Remember my words. This is Rich of Review Tech USA.
Someone you love may struggle with a pregnancy.
The skate park story. Now, I've had some requests to make this into a video format. I talked about it on a live stream. So here we are. Before we get into this, I'm not advocating for any of this. I'm not promoting this. I'm not glorifying this. I am simply telling a story about my bizarre life that happened. So I'm not saying you should do any of this. You should probably do the complete opposite of this. The fact that I'm not dead or in jail or something like that speaks volumes. I must have had luck on my side, but the skate park story. So in our small little town, there was a skate shop and the skate park. Now, the skate park wasn't really kept up with all that great. The skate park actually ended up shutting down because the owners of the skate shop got tired of it. They didn't think it was making enough money. Whatever. That's just how it is. But the skate shop, our buddy Will, worked there part-time. He also worked at the skate park on the weekends, basically just, charging people admission, making sure, no one's doing crack in the corner or something like that. So he had a set of keys to both the store and the skate park. Now, the skate park was set up in a way that there was two sliding grate doors that were really big, almost like a garage door. And then there was a side door that was like the main entrance or whatever. So that actually plays a role. Now, the setup of the skate park was basically there was a dirt road that was probably about a half-mile long. It was off of a main road. You'd go all the way down this dirt road. There was nothing on the dirt road until you got to the skate park. Next to it was like a little shanty shack where some people lived. That plays a role in a minute. And then there was a trail that led to a business. That also plays another role in a minute. That just led down to the business. So everything was pretty much at the end of this little dirt road. So it's been like a month or two since the park is closed. And we were looking for a place to party one night. Now, Will was older than us. He was a few years older than us. I was like 16 at this time. And Will was like, dude, I got the keys to the skate park. Why don't we get a whole bunch of beer, get a whole bunch of smoke, whatever, go down there, invite a bunch of people, and just have a party down there because no one's going to know. And we're like, okay, that's a good ass idea. So we all drove down there. We'd party down there. And the nice thing was, since Will had a set of keys that locked both of the gates and the main door, at night, when everyone was done and everyone was leaving, I drove a Ford Explorer. I would bring my Ford Explorer inside of the skate park, close all the doors, lock all the doors, borrow Will's keys, and me and my buddy Malat would just sleep in my car to sleep it off. And in the morning, I would drive by Will's house or drive by Will's work and give him the keys. So we're sitting there and we're thinking, like I said, it's been like 2-3 months now since the skate park is closed. And we're like, well, what if we take it over? What if we, revitalize the skate park and make it our own skate park? We take over the rent. We'll hit up whoever owns the building. We'll do the power with it. Like, how easy could it be? There were still tons of ramps in there. Some of the ramps needed a bit of work and stuff like that. It needed some rearranging and stuff like that. But we were like, fuck it, dude. Like, we could do this if we all pool our money together. So Will, since he was literally the only adult, he was in charge of everything. It was me, Malat, Haggis. There were some other people involved in it as well, but me, Malat, Haggis, and Will were like the main 4 people involved in this, as far as my memory reminds me. Adam may have been involved in this, but Adam was dating a girl who wouldn't let let him hang out with the boys as much. So I really don't think he was a part of this, but he may have been. But those are the four that were definitely involved: myself, Haggis, Malott, and Will. So Will contacts the people who own the building. He finds out through the owner of the skate shop. And it's like way too much money. We can't afford it. I don't remember how much it was, but you got to remember, 3 of us were 16 or 17, and then Will was like 21. So money wasn't exactly, something that we had a lot of. So we're sitting there scheming. We're like, well, what can we do? How can we raise funds for this? Blah, blah, blah. I don't remember who came up with the idea, but we came up with the idea kind of as a collective. What if we just take it over? Who's going to stop us? We have the keys. They haven't changed the locks for the buildings. All the ramps and stuff are in there. We could go there after school, work on the skate park, have like a big festival where we make a bunch of money off the festival, charge people to come in, have a big music show. Then with that money, we give it to the people to legally take over the building. We pay the electric on it, and then it's ours. And then we do whatever the fuck we want with it. So the more we thought about this, the more it became a good idea. So we contacted Code Main, and his band was called Masturbating in Public. They were a punk rock band, and we're like, Code Main, we want to have a big festival at the park where we're revitalizing the festival. Can you put out the word to, get other bands involved? So him and Pete, Punk Rock Pete, ended up getting a bunch of bands together. We picked a day. It was a Saturday to start at 12 o'clock during the afternoon, and we would run to like probably around midnight, and we tried to get as many bands as possible. We ended up getting like 10 to 12 bands confirmed for this. People driving from all over the place, just doing it to play music and making money off of the merch sales. We had bands come from like 2-3 hours away because MIP used to tour like all of North Carolina. So everything is getting set up. Will is talking with the people about getting power. He put everything sort of in his name, just speaking as a representative of the old owners of the skate park, saying that there was money issues and stuff. We had to pay like a small fee to have the power cut on, and then the power would be in his name. So everything's coming together. All right. It's the morning of that morning. I want to say it was like 9 in the morning. We all go down there, and the power was supposed to be cut on that day. The power wasn't on. So now we're freaking out because there's a ton of bands coming from all over the state of North Carolina, possibly even some from South Carolina. I don't even remember. all the bands that were there or anything like that. But we're not going to have a show because there's no power in the fucking building that we're illegally inhabiting anyways. So everything just needs to go according to plan or else we're fucked. So we're like, all right. I'm like, okay. Desperate times call for desperate measures. I'll go next door. I'll talk to the people. I'll see if they will let us run an extension cord from their house, and I'll tell them we'll give them money. In theory, that sounds like it would work. So I walk over there. Like I said, it wasn't very far. It was a few steps away. And someone opens the door. You could see like tons of people inside of this house. Somebody opens the door, Hispanic man. And I'm like, yo, we're doing a show next door to, raise money for the skate park. So it's going to be very loud for the next little bit. But, we're trying to get money to bring the skate park back. We're supposed to have power on in the building. I use your power running an extension cord? I have an extension cord here, and can we use that? And he's just staring at me blank as fuck, and I'm like, ¿Hablo inglés? No, pequeño. I'm like, oh, fuck me. And so I'm like, extension cord, plug in you, me use, party, fiesta. And he's like, but he ended up like coming around to it. Somebody else ended up coming up who spoke a little bit better English, and they were like, yeah, you could do that. So as I'm setting that up, I hear Will scream, we've got fucking power. And so the power cut on, I want to say it was around 10:30, 11 in the morning. Show starts at 12. So I'm like, oh, great. I'm like, well, just in case, I'm talking to this other person now at the house. I'm like, hey, we got a power over there, but just in case, is it cool if I need to use your guys' power? I'll give you money after the thing. We got a bunch of kids coming down. It's going to be a huge thing. And she was like, yeah, cool, whatever. And so I'm like, great. So we go in, everything's set up. All the bands are starting to come down. Now this road is a dirt road. So everyone's parking like pretty much in the woods. Like you had a strip and like people would park this way, people would park this way, people would park in the woods, people would park at the business, which was a Kmart, which comes and plays a role with the 4 times the cops are called. They would park in the Kmart parking lot and walk up. We actually made a map of where people should park, and we had someone stand at the end of the road giving people the map saying, hey, these are your parking options. We got a lot of cars down there, but you could park in the Kmart parking lot, so on and so forth. So first band goes on. It's the most eclectic, strange. You got preppy kids, you got punk kids, you got metal kids, you got kids who just want to skate there. It was huge. There was people everywhere. The money is just coming. I think we charged $10 for the whole festival. And we had some drinks that we were selling. We had some hot dogs that we were selling. And like the money is just pouring in. So many kids are showing up to this. Because you got to remember, you've got all your local kids showing up. But then you got the kids that are, fucking with these bands. And they're like, well, fuck, we want to go to a big show, a big party, and watch our favorite band and watch other bands perform. So people were coming from all over the place. Early in the afternoon, I want to say it's around 2 or 3 o'clock, cops show up for the first time. And I was kind of the spokesman. Will and I were kind of the spokesman. Malat was a shy guy. Hank was like skating the whole time because the way we set it up was the bands could perform kind of in the corner facing out this way, and all the rest of the park was still very skatable. So that was good because then you had just had people showing up who just wanted to skate, and there's live music playing. So that's always a cool thing. The cops show up and they're like, what's going on here? And I'm like, we just, we're the new renters of the skate park. We're holding a festival. What seems to be the problem? And they're like, we've been getting lots of reports from Kmart. I was like, oh, about what? And they're like, they're saying that people are coming through the woods here, going to Kmart, stealing shit, and then going back this way. They have it on surveillance camera, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh. And they were like, we also have reports of people parking in Kmart and coming up here. They're not happy about it. So you need to tell people they need to move their cars and don't go to Kmart, or else they will be potentially arrested on site. We're going to have an officer down there making sure that nobody's stealing anything. I was like, all right, cool. Sorry for the inconvenience. Sorry that this is happening. So we're okay. Okay. A little sweat on the brow. That's fine. Show's going on. Great show. Great fucking show. I'm like, I can't believe we pulled this off. I remember there was like a stoop. Like the skate park was weird. So when you walked into the front door, there was like the little office, and on top of the office, there were stairs right on the outside of it. Went up, and you could hang out on top and just sort of look down on everything. Nobody ever ollied off that, which I always thought was weird, but that's where I was hanging out, just kind of monitoring everything. We're having a good time. And then I want to say 6 or 7 o'clock at night. Cops are coming. I'm like, fuck, what is it now? Go down there. Hey, how's it going, officer? Yeah, this is the second time we've been out here. Oh, really? I didn't realize you had been out here before. What's the problem? What's going on? We got some reports from some parents of some underage drinking down here. I'm like, underage drinking? No, ma'am. We're just having a show right here. You can look around and see that there's no alcohol, because all the kids were kind of smart. We were all drunk as fuck, but all the kids were smart, and you just store the alcohol, you threw it in the woods or something like that. They weren't going to search around and do all that stuff because there were so many people there. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to be watching. We're going to be making sure that there is no underage drinking. We might be pulling people. We might even set up a roadblock at the end. I'm thinking, I don't give a shit. It's some other fucking kid's problems. Okay. Sorry, officer. Thank you very much. Night's going on now. And then now we're in the night, and I'm like, okay, everything is good. I want to say it's about 10 o'clock at night. Cops. I'm like, fuck. What now? Go out there. What seems to be the problem, officer? This is the third time we've come down here. Really? I wasn't aware of that. What seems to be going on? What's the problem? Violating noise ordinances. I'm like, noise? What are you talking about? And they're like, loud noises after 10 p.m. You can only a certain amount of decibels and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, what if we close one of the gates, so that it muffles out the sound? And they're like, I don't know, do it. So the band that was playing, I was like, hey, just play it really quiet until they leave. And they were like, oh, okay. So we closed the one gate, and they played quietly. We just acted like everything was normal. And like, oh, okay, that should be good. What time are you guys wrapping up? I was like, we should be done by midnight. And I'm like, okay, great. Everything's going good. I'm thinking we're in the home stretch. And then you hear fire. They lit the kid on fire. And I'm like, what? Who is on fire? Why is there fire? What the fuck is going on? So we run outside. There's this large gentleman, Southern gentleman. He didn't, I don't even know why he was there, because he didn't seem like, he seemed like the kind of guy that would listen to like Travis Tritt and not punk and metal bands. He was on fire on his body, and people were smacking him out. And so Will is like freaky. He's like, what the fuck is going on? And someone was like, oh, he said to light him on fire, so we did. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. The kid's skin is like bubbling and disgusting. It's on his back too. And I'm like, holy, this is the end. This is the end. So someone's like, we need to call the ambulance. I'm like, oh, fucking call the ambulance. Go fuck yourself. Unfortunately, somebody called the ambulance. So as we're waiting for the ambulance and the police to come once again, I remember Piss Shit Fuck was the band that was playing. They were a punk rock band. And at this point, Will had it. Will had absolutely had it. I had absolutely had it. Everyone that was involved with it had absolutely had it. So Will's like, gets up there, grabs the mic from Piss Shit Fuck, and Will just goes off. You wouldn't fucking do this. This was the other skate park in the other town. You fucking respect them. You don't fucking respect us. We did this shit for you. We tried to bring the skate park back, and this is what the fuck you do. Just goes off on this excellent promo like a fucking pro wrestler. And Will was kind of a quiet guy, so I'm kind of like stammering my words and like mumbling my words and stuff, trying to scream at people. The ambulance comes down, the cops come down, and they're like, you need to break this up. This is the fourth time we've been down here. Oh, it's the fourth time you've been down here? I didn't realize that. So we break it up. We tell everyone to fuck off. And then I remember it was the next day. And so Will had all this money in a little metal militia box, which was a motocross group. And I'm like, how much money do we have? And he was like, we got a decent amount. I was like, is it enough to cover the rent and the electric? He was like, it's enough to cover the electric. I was like, how is it not enough to cover the rent? There's tons of kids there. And he was like, I don't know. So my theory is Will, he liked to party a little bit. Maybe Will took some of the money, but at that point we didn't fucking care. So I remember Will paid the electric, and that was it. He literally just went by the place that was going to rent it to us, handed in the keys, and said, oh, I had these keys. I'm sorry. I never turned them in to the skate park when, I was a part-time employee. I used to work at the park. I never turned them into the shop. Here you guys go. And that was it. That was the end of the skate park. As far as I know, that building is still there. Those ramps are still in there rotting away. And, this was 20 years ago. But it was fucking insane. I think the funniest part is, even with all the problems and all the hiccups, like, we still pulled it off. We pulled off a show that literally hundreds of people showed up at illegally, somehow managed to duck the cops, somehow managed to do all this, that, and the other. And we pulled it off. It sucks because, it could have been.
Cats are incredible.
Gabe has issued a warning about the Steam Deck and birds of breasts. Breaking news. Let's talk about news. Birds.
Skip it up and that up.
So I am shocked that this even needs to be a thing, but even Nintendo recently has put out a statement regarding heat being bad for the Nintendo Switch. We are now having heat waves in many parts of the world, including the UK, which is not a common thing. But always remember, climate change is a hoax. It's not a hoax. Well, with the Earth heating up, companies have put out statements about their electronics not working well when it's hot outside, and it could damage them, and it will make them thermal throttle. Nintendo, like I said, just did this recently, and now Valve has put out a statement about the Steam Deck. This is what they had to say on Twitter. For our friends in the midst of a heat wave, a quick note about Steam Deck and high temperatures. Steam Deck performs at its best in ambient temperatures between 0 degrees and 35 degrees. Celsius, which for my US viewers is about 95 degrees Fahrenheit, which is, I'm actually surprised it could function well at that temperature, but okay. If the temperature gets higher than this, Steam Deck may start to throttle performance to protect itself. A bit more detail about this. Steam Deck's APU runs well at temperatures up to 100 degrees Celsius. At 100 degrees Celsius, it will start to throttle performance, and at 105 degrees Celsius, it will shut down, which be thankful that feature exists. You'd rather have your console shut off than break. Again, this is to protect itself and you from damage. Now, when I made my Nintendo Switch video where Nintendo put out this warning, I talked about my dad being an electrical engineer, and he's always said to me the two worst things outside of pouring soda into your electronics or some kind of salt or salt-based liquids or whatever into your electronics, or getting food in your electronics, is heat, especially heat combined together with humidity. It will corrode components, and you could destroy something in a single car sitting. I've seen it. I have seen people's phones, laptops, that, and other electronics just get hammered being in a hot car on a hot day, especially if it's humid. Say you have electronics in a attic somewhere, make sure that attic is climate controlled, for the love of God. I mean, if you just have like blankets and other crap up there you used like during the winter and you storm up there in the summer, that's fine. But if you have components up there, it doesn't matter. If you have electronics up there, it doesn't matter. Heat destroys things. Not that cold can't damage. electronics, but say you left your phone out in your car on a 20 degrees Fahrenheit night, and it's below freezing, and it'll be fine. Just bring it in the house, let it warm up to room temperature, and everything will usually be okay. Heat, there's no promises there. It also could be dangerous, and that's why Valve said to protect yourself.
A new ship.
Right now we're booking a trip to Hawaii.
I'm booking it,
Okay, you know what? I'm too much of a child to book it, so I'm having Sadie do it. Dear Sadie!
Right, so Mum's going to taste it. Go on, taste it, Mum.
Guys, today is a historic day. We all know case cooking, we all love case cooking, but in her videos there is a secondary character, a man who doesn't need all the spotlight who's just there to support his mother. You know who I'm talking about. It's Lee, the one and only son of Case Cooking. Now, me and Lee have a bit of a rough past. I used to accuse him of being a super soldier for the British government, having to eat Case food on a daily basis as some sort of training. Now, not to say that I don't still think that maybe, but hey, I'm willing to look past that because I have made a giant discovery. Lee has his own channel, a channel that he uploads to like every other day. And while he didn't choose to fully follow in his mother's footsteps, he does have one cooking video, and boy, is it wonderful. So you already know what time it is. It's Big Lee time, baby. Let's begin. Please subscribe.
Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I am so excited. This video that I'm about to do has been requested so many times, I can't remember how many times it's been requested. It's literally loads.
Am I going insane? Or is anybody else getting some sort of Gordon Ramsay vibes here? I don't know if it's just the mannerisms, but I was just taking the kitchen nightmares for a second there.
But before I start, I just want to let you know I have lost my battery charger for the camcorder, so I have no idea, so I might have to switch cameras all the way around.
I'm not gonna lie, the first time I watched this through, when he started to say I lost my battery charge, I'm not even making a joke here. For a second, I thought he was about to say like he lost a court case where he was getting charged with battery or something. I was like, oh my god, maybe he is a super soldier.
Right guys, so I've got all the pans set up, doing this by myself.
Alright, so I guess tonight's all about transparency, because I'm not lying about this either. When I saw the words hot hob, I had to look up what that meant. I mean, I'm capable of using context clues. I assumed it had something to do with a stove, but I just wanted to be sure exactly what it was, because the first thing that came to mind was like a sexy hobgoblin, and I had a feeling that was probably not correct.
A good way to do bacon is don't put anything in with the bacon, let it cook in its own juices. Isn't me or does that just sound dirty? Let it cook in its own juices.
No. But you made it weird by pointing that out. That's not the first time that's gonna happen either. Just prepare yourselves. And yeah, that's a fine way to cook bacon, but it doesn't seem like any heat is being transferred to this bacon, Lee. Are you sure this hob is hot? Alright, so as I continued to watch this, I started to pick up on things that I never really noticed in Kay's videos. I guess that Kay cooks with really low temperatures, and she might have passed that on to Lee while teaching him how to cook, because it takes 3 minutes for this little bit of butter to melt. And it makes sense now. I don't know why it took so long for me to put 2 and 2 together, but I'm assuming this is why Kay often undercooks her